In 2007, another star lit up the Hollywood sky, with everyone predicting an incredible future for her. The actress was compared to Marilyn Monroe and dubbed the next Angelina Jolie. Her name was Megan Fox. Her paychecks, just for a single movie, rose from a few $1,000s to several million. Various publications put her on their covers, calling her the most beautiful actress of her time. However, these days she primarily appears in low-quality films that don't get shown in theaters. And while Bruce Willis might pop into such movies for a couple of days of shooting, Megan Fox has to work in them for several weeks. Today, we'll take a look back on the rapid rise and just as swift fall of this actress, delving deeper into a few of her roles. But before we begin, make sure you've subscribed to the channel and hit the bell icon to stay updated with future content. And as usual, the longer you watch, the more interesting it becomes, because the most surprising things show up at the end of the video. Megan's career kicked off in the early 2000s. She made appearances in a few films, mostly in the background. She even had a brief moment in Bad Boys 2, directed by Michael Bay. It's hard to spot her, but with some effort you can. Interestingly, this cameo is often criticized in the US. If you look at certain aspects of Bay's career, some of which will be highlighted later, it's somewhat surprising that he still directs and hasn't been vilified. In this scene from Bad Boys 2, Megan Fox was only 15 years old. Many are outraged by this, questioning how Hollywood could allow a child to be in such a scene. Where was the acclaimed director looking? After this noticeable role, Megan moved from being a background character to a more forefront role. In 2004, she appeared in several projects. The most successful of these was the comedy Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, in which the lead role was played by Lindsay Lohan. The movie wasn't a massive box office hit, but on a $15 million budget, it managed to rake in $30 million in the US. It's believed that thanks to this movie and the role Fox played in it, she landed her next film, Transformers. Megan was actually quite fortunate. From 2004 to 2005, she was turned down at numerous auditions she attended, hoping to become a star. She came closest to landing a role in the Amityville Horror, but was edged out in the final selection by Melissa George. It's entirely possible that had she secured a leading role in this horror film, someone else might have been cast in Transformers. Since there were 10 different scripts written for Transformers and its pre-production spanned a couple of years, they began searching for lead actors quite early. Here, Megan's luck played in. She wasn't committed to any other projects due to her recent rejections. Director Michael Bay also instructed her to gain 10 pounds of muscle, so for several months, Megan Fox was jumping onto every exercise machine within sight. Also, her character in the film was named Michaela Baines. But there's no official word if this was a nod or joke from the creators. The only one who received a significant paycheck for Transformers was Shia LaBeouf. He claims he was constantly bullied and belittled on set, so he took precautions early on and refused to film for just meals, despite pleas from the movie's producer, Steven Spielberg. Megan Fox, on the other hand, agreed to act for just a credit in the film titles, as did many other actors. Tyrese Gibson even claims he had to pay the producers to ensure his name wasn't forgotten in the credits. Megan Fox brought something else to Transformers, at least it's frequently written about. This information hasn't been officially refuted. The actress claims that it's thanks to her that the band Linkin Park appeared in the film. Fox says she attended a Linkin Park concert after which she met the band members. They already knew she was cast in Transformers and persuaded her to convey to the producers their wish to be part of the film, which she duly did. In 2007, when Transformers hit the big screen, it had the impact of a detonated bomb. Globally, the $150 million movie ranked in $709 million. Hasbro set a sales record for the highest number of toys sold in its history. Moreover, the film dominated the DVD market, setting sales records in its first week and ultimately claiming the top spot for the year. Post-Transformers, everyone became famous, including Tyrese Gibson, who was immediately cast in Death Race and then returned to the Fast and Furious franchise. Shia's fees skyrocketed from $400,000 to $500,000 to $5.8 million. Megan Fox wasn't forgotten either. While she got a pat on the back for the first Transformers, she was paid $800,000 for the sequel. One can only guess how much various brands paid, lining up for a piece of the pie. With the two movies that were released between Transformers, the actress wasn't so lucky. She had signed on to them even before the first Transformers hit the theaters, so she didn't earn much from these films. Although with the comedy How to Lose Friends and Alienate People, alongside Simon Pegg, she had hoped for a boost in her career. Back then, Simon Pegg was considered a rising star after the success of Hot Fuzz and Run, Fat Boy, Run. Everyone had high hopes for his new $28 million project, which featured stars like Jeff Bridges and Kirsten Dunst. But the film barely managed to earn $19 million at the box office, and Megan Fox's other comedy titled Whore didn't even make it to theaters, going straight to video. After the colossal success of the first Transformers, there was an inevitable rush to produce a sequel. Due to this hurried schedule, not only was there insufficient time to refine the movie's script, as was done with the original film, but a writer's strike further complicated matters. The movie was filmed based on rough sketches, which a couple of screenwriters managed to produce in just 3 weeks. To skip ahead, it's worth noting that this had no discernible effect on box office returns. Megan Fox frequently recounts her challenges while working on this film. Firstly, director Michael Bay was quite displeased with the fact that Fox had managed to lose weight between the filming of the first and second movies. And as a result, Fox was prescribed a diet that consisted mainly of pastries, which was strictly monitored by a specially trained individual. And within 3 weeks, Fox regained the 15 pounds she had lost, a change that Michael Bay took note of. However, due to that rapid weight gain, it wasn't muscle mass she put on, and it became noticeable in the movie that the actress had gained some weight. What irked Fox the most was a scene where she was placed on a motorcycle in short shorts. She asserts that she was filmed with 10 cameras constantly moving around, and she was told that the primary camera would be focused on her face, while the rest would be capturing the background, not drawing much attention. In the final cut of the film, it turned out there were no shots from that primary camera, but many from the other cameras that were mainly positioned behind her. Overall, the actress often emphasized that she is not as she is portrayed in many movies. She grew up in a strict religious family, and the angles chosen by Michael Bay always unnerved her. Although Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen was filmed with almost no script, leading to frequent frustrations for Bay, the movie performed excellently in theaters. With a budget of $200 million, and the film grossed $836 million. Parallel to Transformers, where Fox was contracted for 3 movies and thus couldn't demand an exorbitant fee, she also starred in the film Jennifer's Body. Even though it was filmed before the second Transformers hit theaters, she received $5 million for her role. Despite its modest budget, Jennifer's Body was one of the most advertised movies of the year, mainly because of the big names attached to it. The screenplay was penned by the writer of Juno, which, with a budget of $7 million in 2007, grossed $231 million globally. The scriptwriter, Diablo Cody, was immediately hailed as an extraordinary talent and showered with money. Everyone expected Jennifer's Body to mirror the success of Juno, but that didn't happen. The $16 million film only grossed $31 million. The director of the movie, Karen Kusuma, who previously directed the significantly more unsuccessful Aeon Flux, blamed the studio and the promotional campaign for the film's underperformance. According to her, the studio marketed the movie entirely wrong, pushing it as some teen comedy with Megan Fox, when in fact it was about something entirely different. She believed if the studio had heeded her advice, the movie would have fared much better in theaters. Megan Fox agrees with this assessment, believing Jennifer's Body to be the best film of her career. Following Jennifer's Body, the expensive Jonah Hex also flopped dramatically. This no longer anticipated movie, with a budget of $50 million, was released in theaters in 2010 and only grossed $11 million. In general, it had become clear that despite Fox's popularity in those years, moviegoers weren't in a hurry to see her in theaters. But the main blow to her career came from Transformers 3, or more precisely, her absence from the third movie. There's a lot of speculation about why Fox left the film, even though she was actively preparing for her role in it. Initially, all fingers pointed at the director, Michael Bay, who didn't appreciate the actress calling him a tyrant in interviews, and even comparing him to Hitler. However, the actress never stated that she was thrown out of the movie by Bay. The director also denied these allegations. As the dust settled and Fox was replaced by Rosie Huntington-Whiteley in the third film, it turned out that the movie's producer, Steven Spielberg, was burned by all these statements about fascists on set and Adolf at the helm. Bay later said that after one such interview by Fox, Spielberg called him and demanded that the actress have no connection to the film by the next day. Back then, it was often rumored that Spielberg had nothing to do with it and that Bay was simply hiding behind a big name, ensuring all the blame landed there. But in 2013, when Megan Fox was no longer in high demand, Michael Bay cast her in the leading female role in his producer project, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And although Bay repeatedly said he was never offended by Fox's comments, he most likely had no hand in her departure from Transformers. Though online, there are also claims that Steven Spielberg denies having anything to do with Fox's exit. But from 2010 onward, Fox's career took a nosedive. She was no longer being cast in major films, except for Bay's invitation to join the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 years later. Instead, she appeared in movies like Passion Play, which co-star Mickey Rourke referred to as just another incredibly crappy movie he got involved in. However, Fox's popularity didn't wane quickly. She was still getting cameo roles, like her appearance in The Dictator with Sacha Baron Cohen. A slight success could have been her role in the comedy This Is 40, directed by the popular at the time Judd Apatow. But as it turned out, the movie didn't meet expectations, received modest audience rankings, and only grossed $88 million on a $40 million budget. Fox seemed on the verge of moving to B-list movies, but her career was temporarily saved by Bay and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Even though the first movie faced heavy criticism, it did decently at the box office. With a budget of $125 million, it grossed $485 million. The sequel wasn't so fortunate. With a budget that had increased to $135 million, it barely grossed $245 million globally. No one was left to save the actress's career, and after The Turtles, she ventured into films of an intermediate category. When she tried to appear in something different, it ended up being a movie by James Franco, which was shelved for a whole 3 years before being released straight to video. Recently, someone in the industry decided to turn Fox into an action star. Who came up with this idea and why they continue to do so remains a mystery. But the actress appeared in several action films made for TV and streaming platforms. Audience ratings for these films hover around 4 out of 10. This should hint at something. But she was cast in The Expendables 4, where all action movie fans can see her in action again. One of her latest films, Midnight in the Switchgrass, is considered one of the best Bruce Willis films based on audience ratings. Of course, this refers to the current phase of his career. Typically, these films get audience ratings of 3 to 4 out of 10. But the film with Megan Fox received a 5 out of 10. What's surprising is that the actress still has lucrative advertising contracts. Regardless of what she does with her appearance, she still has them, and presumably, they provide her with a good income. A couple of years ago, she parted ways with the star of Beverly Hills 90210, and many believe she finally came into her own afterward. She might even manage to reignite her career. Lately, she's been spotted on various tabloid covers because of her relationship with a well-known guy known for his vocal talents. I'm not sure how good he is, but he seems to be aiding her career. After all, she landed a role in The Expendables. No matter how it turns out, it'll be a higher caliber film than her recent projects, which seem to have been made on a shoestring budget. She's now 37, and returning to the height of her fame from the late 2000s to early 2010s will be challenging or perhaps even impossible. But the world is full of surprises. Maybe Megan Fox will get lucky. We're curious to hear your opinion about this video in the comments. At this point, we've gotten to the end of our video. We hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon, and give this video a big thumbs up. It will only take a split second, but surely pump the YouTube algorithm to bring our videos to the top. See you in our next video.